Look at them all. All of my variants, or at least a good chunk of them, all on my glorious new shelving unit. Now, variants and Skylanders are very awesome. They give us an insight into what Skylanders with different colour variations would look like, and sometimes the different coloured variations are even better than the original colour palettes, because sometimes these colour palettes just happen to suit the Skylanders design and personality a whole lot better. But if I was to pin all of the Skylanders before you into one main floor, all of them have, it's the fact that they aren't the most unique. Because look at the darks here, for example. If there are multiple of them all spawning with the same colour palette and the same variant name, where's the uniqueness in that? So this top 10 is going to shy away from such things, because instead we're counting down the top 10 most unique Skylanders variants, basically meaning that for this list we're looking at the variants that have the most unique colour palettes that are unfound within any other Skylander variant. So without further ado, let's get to the countdown here. As for number 10, we have the Jade variation. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, but ignite. There's two Jade variants, both of different characters from different games. And what makes them unique in comparison to the steel-plated characters? Well, first of all, the steel-plated characters are ugly. And second of all, these characters stand out a whole lot more than them because they have a much better blend of colours, with a better shade of green, the gold and the white, which blend together really well and really bring out the personality more into these two characters. Now, that does bring us to the main floor. The variant, sure, whilst it looks very nice and looks unique in comparison to other variants, even for steel plated ones, the main thing really stopping them from getting any lower on the list is the fact that there are two characters spawning this variant type over two different games. And again, uniqueness is the main selling point to this list, and so really for variants that are one of a kind, spawning only one design over one character are the most unique ones to that design and character, you could say. So above all, it's a great variant, a very unique one, but still that's only enough to get it number 10 on the list right here. Coming in at number 9, we have a Gnarly variation. Now, this has a similar problem to the Jade variation previously alluded to, with the fact that it has a design that spans over two different games. However, it's utilised for the same character, and so the fact that it is unique to only one character is, well, as I just said, unique. But another thing about this is the fact that the variant looks unique because of its blend of blacks, blues and yellows. There is no other variant in Skylanders history that blends these colours together, especially not to this scale of awesomeness, because this is a very good looking variant, even more so than the previously mentioned Jade variants. So we have ourselves a number 9 on the list right here, which barely edged out the Jades, you could say. As for number 8 on the list, we have Molten Hot Dog, the Molten variation, on which was only ever used for Hot Dog, and it works best with his design, I would say. And it's a very cool looking variant too, with a different shade of yellow than what the original Hot Dog had. But the main problem with this variant is that it's just so much more boring than other variants to pop up on the list later on. And that's the main reason why it's been pushed all the way back to 8th place, the fact that it is a whole lot more boring than variants coming up later on. But it is unique still, and since that is the criteria for this list, it's enough to make it to number 8, to say the least, for Molten Hot Dog right here. As for number 7 right here, we have Love Potion Fizzy Frenzy Pop Fizz. Now, this character is extremely unique in the fact that it uses pinks and whites, because it is a Valentine's variant, the only Valentine's variant found in the whole of Skylanders, at least out of the official games line, forgetting of course the Lost Islands variants like Cupid Flameslinger, as you can see to the top left right now. But the thing with this character is that he almost wasn't unique because of Heartbreaker Buckshot, but because that figure was cancelled and we never received it, it made Love Potion Fizzy Frenzy Pop Fizz much more unique again. And above all, it's a much better looking variant than Molten Hot Dog, which is what has gotten it higher up on the list, or lower on the list you should even say, than Molten Hot Dog. But the main problem is that it's only unique because of a cancelled figure, which is a whole lot less unique in comparison to the other variants coming up later on in the list, which is why Love Potion Fizzy Frenzy Pop Fizz remains at number 7 right here. As for number 6 right here, we have Solar Flare Aurora, easily one of the best looking variants of the bunch. And And the main reason she's not any lower on the list is because the colours of Solar Flare Aurora look very similar to the Volcanic Eruptor figurine, to where it's blacks and oranges and everything. But of course, their variants are two different names, so that makes Solar Flare Aurora more unique right off the bat. And what's so unique about this one is that it's a blend of two elements. So its colouring is a whole lot like a fire Skylander, and as is for design, because she has flames going for her everywhere and everything. So above all, the black and the orange give off a fire-based effect, but she's off the light element. So this blending of elements is very unique even for a variant. And literally, as I said before, her colours aren't the most unique when you compare them to Volcanic Eruptors, which is why she's only number 6 on the list. But it's still unique all the more, and they also have different variant names, which changes literally everything. If she was called Volcanic Aurora, then yes, she wouldn't be as low on the list as she is, but she's not, hence why she is here. As for number 5, we have Kickoff Countdown, an event Skylander based after the World Cup, I believe it was. Now, the thing with event Skylanders is that there is a great many of them. Christmas, Easter, Halloween, birthdays, you name it, there's a themed Skylander to it, but the Countdown here is the only one that has a football theming, and the football theming works really well for this figure in very unique ways, especially in comparison to other variants that I've just mentioned upon. So yes, it's a very great variant, great at bringing out Countdown's personality, as I was kind of alluding to before, and it's also unique, hence why it's got such a low spot on this list, dead in the middle, in fact, at number 5. As for number 4, we have Birthday Bash Big Bubble Pop Fizz. Man, is that name quite a mouthful, and that's one unique thing you could say about him, I suppose. But another thing is that Skylanders really love symmetry. Like, for the most part, whenever you find a Skylander, you'll find that their colour palette is symmetrical. Well, with Birthday Bash Big Bubble Pop Fizz here, that breaks the pattern, because we have one yellow glove and one green glove, and it's nice to see that pattern broken for such a unique variant. Now, I know I was just bellyaching about event Skylanders with Kickoff Countdown a bit right there, and Birthday Bash Big Bubble Pop Fizz is clearly a event Skylander because it's based around birthdays. But what makes this one for more unique than the previously mentioned one is the fact that it has a whole lot more unique colour palette. There is no other Skylander that utilises light blues, yellows and greens in this way, not to mention there's also the patterns themselves, such as the stars found on the trumpet, and plus with it being a supercharger, it has a different base as well, which is unique to that series of games, and this specific figurine is the only one in superchargers to have a silver glittery base as such. So Birthday Bash Big Bubble Pop Fizz is most certainly unique in the fact that, first of all, it has a very hard to pronounce name very quickly, and second of all, in the fact that its actual figurine itself has a great colour palette to it, and a unique one at that. As for number 3, we have King Cobra Kadabra. Now, not only is this the only figurine spawning the King-based variants, but it's also the most unique, well, second most unique Skylander with a white based colour palette. I really like the white and how that contrasts nicely with the gold. It truly does have that king feel to it, and not to mention its variant reminds me highly of Aladdin in particular because of that previously mentioned moveset, and really very few Skylanders remind me of something other than Skylanders, and so the fact that King Cobra Kadabra has that is very unique to him, and not to mention he's also got a black basket and purple like mist, or whatever you want to call it, dust, you know, like I said, whatever you want to call it and everything. But point is that no other Skylander blends white and black like this. Normally, like, even for the darks, they blend silver and black. So yes, it's a very unique blend of colours, and it has unique factors in the fact that it reminds me of movies, unlike what many other Skylanders are incapable of doing, with a few exceptions, of course, this being one of them. A lot of you guys love this variant, and it's easy to see why. At number 2, we have Quick Draw Rattleshake, a very unique variant in the fact that it utilises light blues, whites, and blacks. What is this? There is no other Skylander with a colour palette like this, not to mention this colour palette really fits this Skylander to the point where I don't think this colour palette would fit any other Skylander, at least not as fitting as it is for Rattleshake right here. So it's unique in its colour palette and it's unique to this character as a whole. But what's enough to jump this variant all the way up to number 2 is the fact that it's the only variant which for full body of the character is glow in the dark. Every single white part you see in Quick Draw Rattleshake right here glows in the dark, and there is no other in-game variant like it. Notice how I said in-game right there, because you can find chase variants like this, but they do not appear like this in the game, and this countdown is counting only in-game variants. So out of all of the in-game variants, he is not only unique in terms of the colour palette and the fit into the character, but also unique in its physical properties, which is enough to get it number 2 on the list alone. But number 1, without hesitation, is Royal Double Trouble. No one else utilises the Royal colour palette, because the Royal colour palette, just like Quick Draw Rattleshake, would not work with any other character, not even exaggerating here. Could you imagine any other character with this colour palette? They'd look ugly, and yet with Double Trouble it works. Now, one unique thing about this in-game variant here is, first of all, how it's distributed, because it was a part of a few limited edition Battlegrounds packs, making him a very rare and acquirable figure, to say the least, and that's why I'm so glad I own him. But on top of that, as I said before, he has a very unique blend of colours, for reds, for blacks, for purples, for golds. It just stands out so much in comparison to all the other variants because of just how sheer unique it is, and that, my friends, is why Royal Double Trouble gets number 1 on the list, because the criteria for this list for uniqueness to a variant is perfectly encapsulated by Royal Double Trouble right here. So thanks so much as always for watching, guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. But until then, peace. And I hope you enjoyed the top 10.